Hello, geometry students. We're going to talk about 2-6 again. This is section 6 in chapter 2. And this time we're going over geometric proofs. So I'm going to show you an example there. We have a few other things to add to our packet, which is these properties of segment congruence and angle congruence. So why don't you take a moment to write these down. I'm going to add my dashes over my segments here before I get in trouble. So reflexive property, AB equals AB. I guess I should write on here, these are the segments. These are angles. Again, measurement of angle 1 equals measurement of angle 1. Symmetric, if AB equals CD, then CD equals AB. Same thing over here with measure of angle 1 and measure of angle 2. Transitive property of congruence, if AB equals CD and CD equals EF, then guess what? AB equals EF. If you have measure of angle 1 equals measure of angle 2, then measure of angle 2 equals measure of angle 3, then measure of angle 1 equals measure of angle 3. So make sure you get those written down in your packet. So here is an example of a geometric proof. Algebraic concepts, but we tack it on with geometry here. So I think we did this last chapter as well. We're trying to solve for x. We're going to prove that x equals 6. So I just want you to look at this and using your prior knowledge from chapter 3, how would you go about solving this? If you knew that angle FGJ right here is congruent to angle JGK, so these two are congruent. And if you knew that JGK right here is congruent to KGH, how would you go about solving that? Okay, so you would set these two equal to each other to solve for x, right? Okay, now what we're going to do is just add some justification to that. All right, and I have my work over here, and I want to put my work in order. Okay, so let's just do that first, and then we'll worry about the reasoning. So think if you could put these in order, or go ahead and pause the video and see if you can do so. So first and foremost, what you got to do is you got to get rid of this little squiggle, because when we solve equations, we don't have the congruency sign, we have the equal sign. So how do you get from congruency to equals? You got to get rid of it. All right, so that's what we do. Then from there, what I would do is go ahead and say that these two angles are equal to each other. So now let's go ahead and substitute that in. What do we have over here? We have 6x plus 7 equals 8x minus 5. I'm just plugging those in. Then it looks like I would go ahead and add 5 over to both sides. And then from there, I would subtract 6x from both sides. Then I get 6 equals x. And then I get x equals 6, because that's what I want to end with, x equals 6. So now let's think about, okay, we just did all this work to get our answer. Now let's think about the reasonings behind it. Why could we do all those things? Well, the first step is that was given. Okay. And how did I get rid of these little squiggles here? Because we always want to do that. And that's going to be a definition of congruency. And in this case, it's congruent angles. All right. Now how did I get the measure of angle FGJ and KGH? How did I get those two to equal each other? What property would that be? And I did some abbreviation. You guys can as well. Right, the transitive property. So now what I did is I took these values, 6x plus 7 and 8 equals 8x minus 5. How did I get from measure of angle FGJ to this, to 6x plus 7? How did I go ahead and do that? Right, I substituted. I substituted those values in. Then it looks like I got a 12 here. How did I get from 12? Right, I added. I used the additive property. And then it looks like I got, on step 6, I got a 12 here equals 2x. So how did I get from 6x plus 12 equals 8x? The subtraction property. And then, how did I get 6 equals x? Division property. And then how do I flip those around? Symmetric property. So when you're doing these types of problems, I just want you to solve like normal, like there's no proof there. And then with each step, go ahead and justify it with your properties of equality. And you'll always be getting rid of those squiggles. Definition of congruency, whether it's congruent segments, congruent angles. This step right here you'll be using a lot because we got to get rid of those squiggles. And then the new steps that we have, transitive property, you'll be using those too. So those will just come into play once you set up before you set up your algebraic problem. All right, that's all I have for you guys, and we'll see you later.